Face down. Let me get you a bottle of water.
Any chance you could get my purse?
Yeah, we'll get that from the house.
Will they bring it to me?
It'll probably be putting your property. There's water for you.
Do you want one for yourself?
Yeah, I can get one.
Anybody can turn the heat up in here? Or like, do you have a sweater I can borrow or something?
I don't have any sweaters. I'll see if I can turn it off. It's hard to control the heat in this building.
That's fine.
Sure, I don't lock myself in here. So you remember me?
Of course I do.
I traveled all the way up here to come talk to you. Because, I've been working on Travis's case ever since it happened. Okay, and I know exactly when it happened, when he was killed. I know a lot of details. And just recently we found quite a bit of evidence. And I'll discuss that with you. The main thing that I'm looking for, though.
What if I told you that behind the smile of a seemingly ordinary woman lay one of the most calculated and brutal acts of violence in recent criminal history? What if I told you that this same woman would sit in court, calmly applying makeup while discussing the horrific details of her former lover's demise? What if I told you that even today, more than 15 years later, she continues to fight her conviction from behind bars, selling artwork to fund her legal battles, all while maintaining her innocence in the face of overwhelming evidence? Before we dive into this chilling tale of obsession, manipulation, and murder, I need you to do something for me. If you're fascinated by the darkest corners of a human psyche, if you crave the truth behind the headlines, then you've found your home. Hit that subscribe button and join the Dark Trail Files family. We don't just tell stories here. We uncover the psychological depths that most channels won't dare explore. Ring that notification bell because you won't want to miss what we have in store. Now, let's enter the twisted world of Jodi Arias. In the summer of 2006, Las Vegas was buzzing with energy, and it was there that two paths would cross in what seemed like a fairy tale beginning, but would end in unimaginable horror. Travis Victor Alexander, a 27-year-old motivational speaker and devout Mormon, was attending a company conference when he met Jodi Arias, a 26-year-old photographer from California. Travis was everything that suggested success and stability. Standing 6 feet tall with an infectious smile, he had overcome a troubled childhood marked by addiction in his family to build a thriving career in multi-level marketing. His faith was the cornerstone of his life, guiding his decisions and shaping his dreams of finding an eternal companion within his Mormon community. Jodi presented herself as the perfect match. Petite, with long dark hair and striking features, she possessed an artist's soul and claimed to share Travis's spiritual interests. What Travis couldn't see was the carefully constructed facade behind those captivating eyes. What he couldn't know was that beneath her charming exterior lay a personality capable of deception, manipulation, and ultimately, unspeakable violence. Their initial connection was intense and immediate. Jodi seemed to hang on Travis's every word, showing keen interest in his Mormon faith and even expressing desire to convert. She was attentive, supportive, and appeared to be everything he had been searching for. But as their relationship progressed from friendship to romance, the first red flags began to emerge. Within months of meeting Travis, Jodi made a decision that would later prove crucial to understanding her mindset. She packed up her life in California and moved to Mesa, Arizona, to be closer to him. This wasn't just a romantic gesture. It was the first sign of an obsession that would consume her entirely. Friends and family members later testified that Jodi's behavior became increasingly possessive and controlling. She would show up unannounced at Travis's home, sometimes using a garage door code she had memorized. She installed tracking software on his computer and hacked into his social media accounts, monitoring his every digital move. The relationship was tumultuous from the beginning. They would break up and reconcile repeatedly, with Jodi often initiating the reconciliations. Even when Travis tried to distance himself, Jodi found ways to remain in his life, often through manipulation and emotional appeals. What made this obsession particularly dangerous was Jodi's ability to present different versions of herself. To Travis's friends and family, she could appear sweet and devoted. But private communications and later testimony revealed a darker side. Someone who was jealous, possessive, and increasingly unstable as she felt Travis slipping away from her control. Even years later, when discussing the case, Jodi's priorities seemed remarkably misplaced.
Glad to see this is waterproof. I don't plan to cry, but, I probably won't.
Why do you need to be?
Travis and I used to argue about my driving because my rearview mirror was always facing me instead of toward the back. He made me feel vain, and sometimes, I guess if I start getting shiny, then we can take a break. Would you do me a favor and just hold that?
By early 2008, Travis had begun to see through Jodi's carefully constructed persona. Text messages recovered by investigators revealed his growing frustration with her behavior. He described feeling manipulated and expressed concerns about her mental stability to close friends. Travis had started dating other women and was becoming more serious about finding someone who truly shared his values and faith. This rejection sent Jodi into a spiral of rage and desperation. She began stalking Travis more intensively, following him on dates and confronting women he was seeing. Friends later testified that Travis had become genuinely afraid of Jodi. He changed his passwords, asked friends to watch for her car, and even considered getting a restraining order. But like many victims of stalking, he underestimated the true danger he was in. The psychological dynamics at play were textbook. Jodi exhibited classic signs of what experts call rejection sensitivity, an intense fear of abandonment that can trigger violent responses. Her entire identity had become wrapped up in her relationship with Travis, and his rejection threatened not just her romantic desires, but her very sense of self. What makes this case particularly chilling is how Jodi's obsession evolved from emotional manipulation to physical violence. Phone records show that in the weeks leading up to the murder, she was calling Travis dozens of times, often hanging up when he answered. She was conducting surveillance, learning his routines, and planning her final, deadly confrontation. June 4th, 2008, started like any other day for Travis Alexander. He was at his Mesa home, preparing for an upcoming business trip to Cancun with friends. What he didn't know was that Jodi Arias was already on her way to see him, driving through the night in a rented car with plans that would end his life. Jodi had told friends and family she was driving to Utah to see another man, creating an alibi for her whereabouts. But phone records and gas station receipts would later reveal the truth. She had driven straight to Mesa, Arizona, arriving at Travis's home in the early morning hours. What happened next would be reconstructed through digital evidence, forensic analysis, and Jodi's own contradictory accounts. According to the evidence, Jodi and Travis spent the day together, with Jodi taking photographs of Travis in various poses. These images, recovered from a camera found in the washing machine, will become crucial evidence in proving her presence at the scene. The timeline of that fatal day reveals a calculated predator waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Jodi took intimate photos of Travis in the shower, creating a false sense of normalcy and trust. She was documenting his final moments, though he had no idea that his former girlfriend was preparing to end his life. The evidence against Jodi was overwhelming, and when confronted with the facts in court, her responses revealed the depth of her deception.
You seem to have a double standard here with regard to making comments about people, don't you?
Yes, I do. I do.
And in fact, it's okay for you to make comments about, for example, Angela and call her dumb and stupid, right?
No,
Well, but you said it, right?
I did.
And we heard on the telephone conversation that you were laughing when you said that, right?
Yeah, it was sentimental, kind of.
You were laughing. You weren't upset when you said it, were you?
No.
And then, when Mr. Alexander says something like, you're going to be like your mother, that's when you get emotional and upset, right?
I did.
And that's when you get upset when he says something about your grandfather, right?
That night I was upset.
And, well, you did get upset, yes or no?
No, because I was already upset.
Well, you didn't get upset on the witness stand when you told us about
Oh, yeah,
that?
on the witness stand, certainly.
And so it just seems that it's okay unless it's okay to say these things unless it's Mr. Alexander that's saying them, right? So
No,
you're
that's
applying
not
a
what I'm
different
saying.
standard to Mr. Alexander, correct?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
And ma'am, one of the other things that we know with regard to this standard applying and that sort of thing is back yesterday, as a matter of fact, you told us that back in August of 2007, you went over to Mr. Alexander's house. Do you remember telling us that?
Yes.
And you remember telling us that at that time you were broken up with Mr. Alexander, right?
Yes, I'd broken up with him.
Well, you'd broken up with him or he'd broken up with you. One of the two, correct?
I broke up with him about a month
And
ago.
you broke up with him on June 29th of 2007, right?
Yes.
But you felt that it was okay for you to go over to his house in August of 2007, didn't you?
After he told me, yes.
Yes or no? Did you feel it was okay to go over to his house?
I said yes.
And when you went over to his house, you indicated that you knocked or you did something and that nobody came to the door, right?
I went to his house a lot in August, so it depends on the
Ma'am,
incident
I'm
you're
talking
referring
about the
to.
incident that you told us about yesterday. Do you remember the one that you related that involved the killing? Do you remember telling us about that?
I did not knock.
And you did go over there, and at some point you started to peep in to the house, didn't you?
Yes.
So that means that you don't know if you knocked, though, right?
I did not knock. I know I did not.
So you went around the back then to look, right?
I went around the back to get in.
You went around the back then, right?
Yes.
And when you went around the back, you're telling us you went around the back to get in, right?
Yes.
But when you got to the back to get in, you started to look at what was going on, right?
I glanced in as I was walking to the sliding glass door.
You did walk in and you were looking at what was going on, right?
I did not walk in.
Then you were from outside looking in, right?
Yes.
Never went in, right?
No, I ran out of the backyard.
You never went in, yes or no?
I said no.
And when you went and looked, you saw something that upset you, right?
Yes.
You saw Mr. Alexander, right?
I didn't know it was him at first,
Yes
but
or no?
yes.
Did
that
you
was
see
him.
him during that encounter?
Objection, she's asking a question.
Overruled.
I did. I said no.
Pardon?
I didn't know it was him at first.
You didn't see him when you were there that night?
I did afterward, yes.
That night, ma'am, listen to my question. That night, did you see Mr. Alexander inside that house? Yes or no?
Yes.
And inside that house, there was a female, right?
Yes.
What's the name of the female?
He didn't tell me her name.
I'm asking that. Did I ask you if he told you the name?
No.
So, did you recognize her?
No, I did not.
And he was there with the female, though. You were able to see her face, though, right?
Yes, sort of.
Well, yes or sort of means two different things. Yes or no? Were you able to see her face or not?
Part of it was shadowed from the
Yes or
TV
no,
behind her, so I
Ma'am,
saw part of it.
Judge, she's not answering my question. If you could instruct her.
Ms. Arias, listen carefully to the question and answer only the question you are asked.
Okay.
May continue.
Could you see her face? Yes or no?
Part of it.
But you were able to see that they were making out, right?
Oh, yeah, they were.
And so is that a yes? They were making out, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Is that yes?
Yes.
And part of what you also saw was that her brassiere was off, right?
I did not see that. I just saw her rehook her bra.
Pardon?
I didn't see it all the way off. I just saw
You
her
indicated that you saw her hooking the brassiere back on, right? You
She
told us
was
that
rehooking
yesterday,
it.
yes?
She was rehooking it, yes.
So you did tell us that yesterday, right?
Yes.
So that means that at least that her bra was unhooked, right?
It was unhooked.
And you stood there and they stood up in reaction to something that you did? Is that what you're telling us?
No.
They didn't see you.
They didn't see me.
But you saw, so what happened then is you actually were watching what they were doing then, right?
Briefly, yes.
Did I ask you for how long, ma'am?
No.
I asked you if you stood there and watched them, right?
No.
You didn't stand there and watch them?
I didn't stand there. I saw it and then I turned and ran out of the backyard.
But you saw enough to know that they were kissing, right?
Yes.
You used the term making out, didn't you, yesterday?
Yes.
You were there long enough to see that one of the individuals was Mr. Alexander, not his roommates, right?
Yes.
You were able to see that it was a female, right?
Yes.
You were able to see that the bra was unhooked, right?
Yes.
And the lights weren't on, right?
There was a light.
Well, didn't you indicate that it was like a TV kind of light?
That light. Yes.
Right? So there was no light, there was a television that was on, right?
That's light.
Ma'am, was it a light or was it a television that was on?
It was light from a television screen.
So, are you saying that it was the television that was on then?
Yes.
And from that light, you were able to make all of this out, correct?
Yes.
No other light was on, right?
Not that I recall.
And then you decided to leave, right?
Yes.
And this was at the point that you were living very close to Mr. Alexander, right?
No.
Well, you were living within 10 miles of him, weren't you?
I was living by Greenfield and Broadway. I don't know the length.
How long would it take you to drive that?
About 15 minutes, depending on traffic.
And after you saw this, one of the things that you did was that you took off, right?
Yes.
And then you thought about it, right?
Of course.
And you felt strongly enough about this that the next day you called your father, right?
I called my parents' house and my dad.
Yes or no, you spoke to your father.
I did speak to him.
And you were crying, right?
Yes.
And you were upset about this, right?
Yes.
And you told him why you were upset, right?
Yes.
I thought you said before that you didn't discuss these issues involving you and Mr. Alexander.
Not typically.
Not typically. You said you didn't yesterday and all the days before. You remember telling us that?
The violence, yes.
Oh, I see. So, but you did discuss the fact that you saw him kissing with somebody else with your father, right?
Yes.
And as a result of that, you decided to go talk to Mr. Alexander about it, right?
Yes.
What in the world gave you the right to go talk to an ex-boyfriend with who, according to you, you'd broken up with? What right do you have to do that?
The attack began in the bathroom while Travis was showering. Digital evidence revealed the exact timeline. Photographs taken at 5:29 p.m. showed Travis alive in the shower, while images captured just minutes later showed his lifeless body and Jodi's foot in the frame. The medical examiner's report painted a horrific picture of Travis's final moments. He suffered 27 stab wounds to his back, chest, and hands. His throat was slashed so deeply it nearly severed his head. And if that weren't enough, he was shot in the head with a .25 caliber pistol. The brutality of the attack revealed a rage that had been building inside Jodi for months. This wasn't a crime of passion. It was a prolonged, sadistic assault on someone who had tried to escape her control. The defensive wounds on Travis's hands showed he fought for his life, trying desperately to defend himself against someone he had once trusted. What makes this murder particularly disturbing is the evidence of planning. Jodi had brought weapons to the scene, including a knife and gun. She had created alibis and taken steps to cover her tracks. This was premeditated murder carried out with cold calculation. After the killing, Jodi attempted to clean up the crime scene. She put Travis's body in the shower, washed blood from the walls, and even ran the washing machine to destroy evidence. But her cleanup was sloppy and incomplete, leaving behind crucial forensic evidence that would later convict her. The final photographs on the camera tell the story. Images of Travis alive and trusting, followed by accidental photos taken during the struggle, showing blood and Jodi's presence at the scene. She had tried to delete these images, but forensic experts were able to recover them from the camera's memory card. When Travis's body was discovered 5 days later by concerned friends, Jodi was already back in Utah, maintaining her alibi and expressing shock at the news of his death. But investigators quickly focused on her as a suspect based on their tumultuous relationship and her suspicious behavior in the days following the murder. During her initial police interview, Jodi displayed a remarkable ability to lie with conviction. She claimed she hadn't seen Travis in months and suggested that intruders must have killed him. She appeared calm, cooperative, and concerned, the perfect picture of an innocent ex-girlfriend devastated by tragic news. But as evidence mounted against her, Jodi's story began to change. First, she admitted to being in Arizona, but claimed she never made it to Travis's house due to getting lost. When phone records contradicted this claim, she changed her story again, this time admitting to being at the house, but claiming she left him alive and well. Under intense questioning by detectives, Jodi's carefully constructed lies began to crumble.
Face down. Can I get you a bottle of water?
Any chance we could get my purse?
Yeah, we'll get that from the house.
Will they bring it to me?
It'll probably be putting your property. There's water for you.
Do you want one for yourself?
Yeah, I can get one.
Anybody can turn the heat up in here? Or like, do you have a sweater I can borrow or something?
I don't have any sweaters. I'll see if I can turn it off. It's hard to control the heat in this building.
That's fine.
Sure, I don't lock myself in here. So you remember me?
Of course I do.
I traveled all the way up here to come talk to you. Because, I've been working on Travis's case ever since it happened. Okay, and I know exactly when it happened, when he was killed. I know a lot of details. And just recently we found quite a bit of evidence. And I'll discuss that with you. The main thing that I'm looking for, though, is answers on why certain things happened, why they went so far, and also to get your statements.
Okay.
A lot of details on this case that haven't been released to the public and not even to Travis's family. And those details are known only by us and the person who did it. Okay, and that's one of the reasons I'm here, is because I believe that you know some of these details. And I think you can help us.
I would love to help you in any way that I can.
Okay. Because we're here at the police department, the sheriff's department here in, was it Siskiyou County?
Siskiyou.
That's what it's called, okay. And you're considered under arrest or detained. You're not free to go. And I'm a police officer. I have to read you your rights, okay? I'm sure you've heard them on TV. I have to read them off this little card here, but they're pretty much the same. And I'll explain them to you as we go, okay? Let's see. This is July 15, 2008, correct?
Yes.
Let me see what time it is here. It's 10:01. Good morning. This is case number 2008-161-0844. Okay. We do have the right to remain silent. Okay. Anything you say may be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to the presence of an attorney to assist you prior to questioning and to be with you during questioning if you so desire. If you cannot afford an attorney, you have the right to have an attorney appointed for you prior to questioning. Do you understand these rights?
Yes.
And what I'm going to do is just ask you some questions, ask you what you've been doing, certain dates, what you were up to.
Yeah.
You mentioned you were traveling on some of these dates.
I travel.
I want to kind of clarify some of these things. And, if there's a question that you don't want to answer, you don't feel comfortable, you can say no, or you can elaborate as much as you want. It's completely up to you. It's at your speed. I don't want to pressure you.
Is this recorded at all, or should we?
I don't know if there's a recording or something.
I don't know if these are voice recorders. I noticed them. They have video, or they have audio, or batteries, or what?
I don't think they're on. It's okay. Yeah, I haven't touched those or anything, but
okay.
They're not on, so what I want to do is just get to the bottom of it. Everybody wants to know, okay? And so I'm going to ask you some questions. You can voluntarily answer them if you want. Okay, is that cool?
Yeah, that's fine.
There was some question about you being. Well, let's start with this. What have you been up to since Travis's death? What have you been doing?
Well, I've been working. I haven't been really working in prepaid legal. There's not a whole lot here in this marketplace, which is...
It's kind of small here.
It's small here, and really that could be seen as an opportunity rather than a hindrance, because that just means the market is untapped in a large way. So I could have if I wanted to, but I'm kind of like a deer in the headlights when it comes to prepaid legal, and I just have a fear of just approaching people. So I've been working at a Mexican restaurant in the north end of town. I've been kind of in a daze, at least for the first few weeks.
Like everybody, you know.
Yeah. I know that a lot of people have been posting on Facebook really nice things, you know, and memories, and at one point I was like, well, maybe I should do that. So I posted this thing and I just said all my memories, and I realized looking back on it that it kind of sounded immature. It's more of like my Dear Travis kind of letter. And so I took it down because...
More personal?
Yeah, some of it was detailed, a little more personal. Not too personal, nothing inappropriate. Just, I just felt funny. I think because I'm a photographer, I tend to communicate more through pictures, so I posted a ton of pictures that I had of him, and I have a ton more that I just can't access right now, and videos and things that I know his family would want, but, so I posted pictures and I took that down, and I posted something last week, but other than that, I've been on Facebook and MySpace a lot, looking at his profile, looking at his pictures, reading things about his obituaries and any news updates, and you know, there's legacy.com where you can write something about him.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of those postings.
I didn't realize until I actually spoke with Ryan Burns. He told the guy that's in Utah. And we've been talking a lot, and we try not to talk about that because it's kind of like, ugh. And plus, Travis is my ex-boyfriend, but at the same time, he's my friend. So while I'm mourning my friend, how do you talk to your new potential, possible, maybe person that you might start dating about your friend, even though he was your ex-boyfriend? So it's kind of a gray area. I try not to talk about him too much, but he comes up a lot. And it was through him that I learned that he said, you know, if you come out to Utah, things are really weird because everyone thinks that you could have had a hand.
And I've talked to a lot of people, and everybody's pointing a finger at you.
I know.
You know, everybody is saying, I don't understand what happened to Travis. I don't know who killed him. But you need to look at Jodi. And sometimes the simplest answers are the correct ones. And that's one of the reasons I started looking at you a little bit closer. And over the last month or so, I've gotten into Travis's life, talked to all his friends, his family. I got a really good understanding of who he is now. And I got a very good understanding of your relationship with him. And
the interrogation room became the stage for a masterclass in deception. Jodi employed every manipulation technique in her arsenal: tears, anger, confusion, and memory gaps. She claimed to have no recollection of the murder itself, conveniently developing amnesia for the most crucial moments while remembering intricate details about everything else that day. When finally arrested, Jodi would change her story one final time, now claiming self-defense. According to this new narrative, Travis had become violent and abusive, forcing her to defend herself. This would become her defense strategy at trial, but it contradicted years of evidence showing her as the aggressor in their relationship. The trial of Jodi Arias became one of the most watched criminal proceedings in recent memory. The combination of attractive defendants, sexual content, and brutal violence created a media frenzy that turned the courtroom into a circus. Jodi seemed to relish the attention, often appearing more concerned with her appearance than the gravity of the charges against her. She would touch up her makeup during breaks, adjust her hair for cameras, and maintain an almost serene demeanor that contrasted sharply with the horrific evidence being presented. Even with media attention focused on her, Jodi continued to manipulate her narrative, but some journalists refused to be fooled.
I said that I'm sorry, that I'll never be able to make up for what I did, and that I can never replace their loss.
But you didn't use the word.
Well, then I'm sorry I didn't say that, because certainly I am sorry. I think in a sense the words I'm sorry just seem meaningless, especially since nobody believes what I'm saying anyway.
You said it right there, no one believes a word out of your mouth. Why do you keep talking?
Well, because I know that I've lied before. That doesn't mean that I'm a liar by definition, by character.
What do you think of this jury? It's pretty clear they don't think too much of you. I wonder what you think of them.
I don't know. I feel a little betrayed by them. I don't dislike them. I just was really hoping that they would see things for what they are, and I don't feel that they did.
To a lot of people, they think this switch from I want to die to now I want to live is just another lie from Jodi Arias.
Well, I don't know what that means. Was I lying when I said I want to die, or was I lying when I say please spare my life? You know, whatever happens, I'm just going to take it, and I don't believe in capital punishment. So the answer would be no.
So you really aren't. A lot has been made about your appearance and your change in appearance. Was going from blonde bombshell to sort of the mousy church librarian look in court, was that a defense strategy? Was that your idea? What was that?
No, they don't sell Clairol hair dye in jail. So this is my natural hair color.
But there was more than just the hair color. The glasses, overall the demeanor is very different than the person that you were before this crime happened. What about that?
Well, this is a court of law. It's not a place to go and act crazy, or I shouldn't use that term, but it's not a place to go and just let loose.
We're going to tell the truth about what went down in that bathroom.
I don't know what you mean by that, because I've told the truth.
Okay.
I didn't know that you were a hater when you came to interview me.
The prosecution, led by Juan Martinez, methodically dismantled Jodi's claims of self-defense. They presented evidence of her obsessive behavior, her lies to investigators, and the premeditated nature of the crime. The digital evidence was particularly damaging. Photographs, phone records, and forensic analysis that painted a clear picture of calculated murder. Jodi's defense team faced an impossible task. Their client had lied repeatedly, changed her story multiple times, and the physical evidence overwhelmingly contradicted her claims of self-defense. They tried to paint Travis as an abusive boyfriend who had driven Jodi to violence. But this narrative was undermined by testimony from friends and family who described Travis as gentle and Jodi as the aggressor. After months of testimony and deliberation, the jury returned with their verdict, guilty of first-degree murder. The evidence had been overwhelming, and despite her attempts at manipulation and deception, justice had prevailed. After months of testimony and deliberation, the moment of truth arrived.
Handled and sworn, and the above entitled action upon our oaths do find the defendant as to count 1, first-degree murder, guilty. 5 jurors find premeditated, 0 find felony murder, 7 find both premeditated and felony. Signed, foreperson. Is this your true verdict, so say you want it all? Ladies and gentlemen.
The conviction phase was followed by the penalty phase, where the jury would decide between life imprisonment and death. This phase revealed even more about Jodi's character, as she continued to manipulate and deceive even while facing the possibility of execution. Given the opportunity to address the court before sentencing, Jodi's words revealed her continued inability to accept responsibility.
Judge Miss Arias has a few words to say.
Judge, I just want to respond to a few of the things that were said earlier. My legal team and I tried to settle this case on 4 different occasions before trial. We tried 2 times before the 2013 trial, and what Samantha said was not accurate. I was not the one who refused to settle. It was Travis's family who not only refused to settle and insisted on both trials, but then they bragged about it all over social media, including posting a group photo on the steps of this very courthouse, holding out all of their thumbs down, refusing to settle. As for not wanting the death penalty, it's my firm belief that death would bring me untold peace and freedom. That's my personal belief. If I died today, I would be free and I would be at peace. For years, that's exactly what I wanted. But I had to fight for my life just like I did on June 4th, 2008, because I realized how selfish it would be for me to escape accountability for this mess that I've created. I have 2 brothers, 2 sisters, several nieces and nephews, a mom, a dad, 8 aunts. Nine uncles, over 20 cousins that I've grown up with, as well as countless friends, all of whom would suffer greatly if I took my own life or if I allocuted and begged for the death penalty and then got it. I did not drag Travis through the mud. I protected Travis's reputation for years. I did say he was an influential person. I kept his skeletons in the closet all to my own detriment for years. What I testified to was not false. They were not made up. They were not things that I wanted to get out into public either, but when I was on the stand, I told the truth. Your Honor was also here during the second trial when a lot of evidence came to light that supported my testimony from people that never even knew me but knew Travis. I do remember, as I testified to this, I'm sorry, I think I would have testified to this in the 2014 trial. I do remember the moment when the knife went into Travis's throat and he was conscious. He was still trying to attack me. It was I who was trying to get away, not Travis, and I finally did. I never wanted it to be that way, Judge. The gunshot did not come last, it came first. And that was when Travis lunged at me, just as I testified to, and just as the state's own detective testified 2 years ago before he and Juan got together and decided to change their story for trial. As for not being abused, maybe I wasn't as badly abused as Travis and his siblings were by their parents. But I didn't consider it abuse either. I didn't consider being beaten and hit and all those things abuse. That was discipline in my family. That's how my parents were disciplined by their parents. That's why I didn't consider those things abuse. I understand now that that's abuse. So for Samantha to say that I was not a victim of abuse is wrong, because I was. And my family understands that now. And we, like my mom said, I didn't come with instructions. They did the best they could. They didn't do it because they're bad parents. They did it because they thought that they were disciplining us, and that's the best that they knew how. The most important thing I want to say is that I am very sorry for the enormous pain that I've caused the people that love Travis. I never thought I would cause so many people so much pain. I live every day wishing that I could undo what I did to Travis and wishing that I could take away their pain, just put it onto myself. To this day, I can't believe that I was capable of doing something that terrible. I can't even... I'm truly disgusted and I'm repulsed with myself. I'm horrified because of what I did, and I wish there was some way I could take it back. That's all I have.
During the penalty phase, Jodi made media appearances and gave interviews, maintaining her innocence and expressing no genuine remorse for Travis's death. She spoke about wanting to contribute to society from prison, but her words rang hollow given the brutality of her crime and her continued lies.
The fact that for 2 minutes in her life, she did something reprehensible. For 2 minutes. But Ms. Arias is a better person than those 2 minutes of her life. She has lived her life up until that point remarkably. And I'm asking the court to take that into consideration as well. There is no sentence that will bring Mr. Alexander back. And there is no sentence that will make these last 7 years disappear. We know that the Alexander family is hurting. What family wouldn't hurt having to go through something like this? It is the nature of this type of crime. But this case has to be judged not on a lynch mob born out of social media seeking vengeance, but on a judicial system seeking justice. And that's what we're asking the court to do. Not on base this on what a mob on social media has to say about who Jodi is, but really who she is and who she was before June 4th of 2008. I have practiced in this court for quite a while now, and I have been in here on other cases, and I have seen this court sentence many a defendant. I've seen the court take into consideration that defendant's background and the crime itself and the potential for future for those defendants. And I have sat in this court for settlement conferences, and I've seen the court handle settlement conferences where the discussion turns to what other defendants who are similarly situated get in these types of cases. So I know that the court takes these things into account when deciding sentencing. And that's the appropriate way to do it. That's what justice is. Justice requires equity. And sometimes equity isn't what victims want it to be. This case has been different from others, not because of the type of case, not because of what happened, but because of the strange attraction that it has caused for so many. This court has the experience to know the difference between a lynch mob from social media and their requests, and I'm not referring to the victim's judge, just so we're clear, and equity in sentencing and what is just and what is fair. This is a difficult decision. I don't in any way think this is a light decision at all. The facts are gruesome, and for 2 minutes what Jodi did was horrible, and the pain that she caused was reprehensible. But this case is no worse than so many other cases that have come before this court and many other courts in Maricopa County. And what happened in those cases where those defendants received the possibility of release. It is only a possibility. It's not even a guarantee. It is just the possibility, a hope to live for. We're only asking the court judge to give an equitable decision and a reasonable decision and a decision that is fair in light of the facts of this case. Based on that, Judge, we are asking the court to sentence her, Ms. Arias, to the possibility of release. Thank you.
All right. Is there any legal cause why sentence should not be pronounced?
No, Your Honor.
The court has considered the nature and circumstances of the offense. I have considered the aggravating factor found by the jury. I have identified aggravating and mitigating factors and considered those factors in arriving at a sentence for Ms. Arias. As aggravation, the court finds, as the jury found, the crime was especially cruel. The offense was committed with at least 2 deadly weapons, a gun and at least 1 knife. The crime involved substantial planning and preparation. The defendant did not render aid to the victim. The defendant destroyed evidence at the crime scene. The defendant went to great lengths to conceal her involvement in the crime. The court has also considered, as an aggravating factor, the emotional and financial harm to the victim family members. As mitigation, the court finds the defendant has no prior criminal history. The defendant has family and community support. The defendant has mental health issues. The court has also considered the defendant's childhood background, family history, and her expressed remorse. The court finds the mitigation presented is not sufficiently substantial to call for leniency and that a natural life sentence is appropriate. It is ordered the defendant shall be incarcerated in the Department of Corrections for the rest of her natural life with no possibility of parole. The sentence shall begin today. The defendant shall receive credit for 2,463 days of pre-sentence credit It is ordered the defendant shall pay a $10 probation surcharge assessment. And as previously stated, the court is retaining jurisdiction over restitution. Ms. Arias, you have 20 days from today to file a notice of appeal. You have the right to have an attorney represent you. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. If you cannot afford the necessary records and transcripts, they will be provided for you at no cost. Do you understand?
Yes.
Counsel, is there anything else for the record?
No, thank you.
No, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I would be moving to withdraw at this point in time a reconsideration of April 4th, 2011. That order contemplated joint representation because it was a capital trial pending trial at that time. Given that that is no longer the case, Ms. Arias has been sentenced to life moments ago by this court. I see that there's a few ancillary issues remaining, but the motions for which motion should be filed. But pending that, I would ask that I be withdrawn from restitution hearing or any future matters, particularly given Ms. Arias' choice to be non-communicative with me. I believe it would be best for Ms. Wilmot to handle that, and so I would ask that my motion to withdraw be granted here this morning.
All right, the motion to withdraw is under advisement. Anything else? We are adjourned.
The final chapter of the trial phase came with the formal sentencing. When the jury deadlocked on the death penalty, Jodi was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. She would spend the rest of her life behind bars. But even this ultimate consequence didn't seem to humble her or force her to confront the reality of what she had done. Even after conviction, Jodi continued to present herself as a victim, claiming to still have feelings for the man she brutally murdered.
Do you still love him?
Yes.
How can you still love a man that threatened you, as you have alleged, and obviously scared you enough to do something that, I mean, it wasn't just a murder, it was a heinous, hideous murder. How can you say you still love that man that forced you, as you say, to do this to him?
Well, that wasn't the kind of person that he was trying to be. And Travis had many wonderful qualities, many redeemable qualities. And those are the qualities that I focus on. Those are the qualities that I liked and the qualities about him that I loved. And I mean, there's this quote that says, "We love those that know the worst of us and don't turn their faces away." And I don't know who said it, but I think of my family when I think of that, but also because I know the worst of Travis, but I still wanted him to be happy, and I still wanted the best for him, and I never wanted any of this to happen.
Today, more than 15 years after Travis Alexander's murder, Jodi Arias continues to serve her life sentence at the Perryville Women's Prison in Goodyear, Arizona. But even behind bars, her story continues to evolve and her attempts at manipulation persist. Years into her sentence, Jodi's ability to maintain her delusions remained intact.
Do you think he committed a crime?
I think I should pass on that question.
Okay. I know that you've said that this was all in self-defense, that terrible night in 2008.
Yeah.
If it was self-defense, though, what would you have done differently that day? I know you've said that you wouldn't have gone over in the first place, but let's say, what would you have done differently in the heat of the moment?
Well, it's hard to, I know what I would do now, but in the heat of the moment.
What would you do?
Okay, in the heat of the moment I wasn't thinking, but the thing that would have made the most sense is to go left instead of right and run out of there. I can't say, I was panicked, I was scared, it was the heat of the moment.
If it was self-defense, did Travis deserve to die?
I don't believe that Travis deserved to die. I don't recall. I do have memory gaps, and I wish that I could take back everything that happened. I never believed that he deserved to die. I flashed and I reacted, and here I am, and a lot of people have been hurt in the process, and if I could take that back, I would do that in a second.
Jodi has become something of a celebrity within the prison system. teaching creative writing classes and creating artwork that she sells through third parties. The proceeds from these sales are reportedly being set aside to fund continued legal appeals, showing that she hasn't given up hope of overturning her conviction. As recently as 2025, reports indicate that Jodi is signaling a fresh legal push, claiming that she's developing new strategies to challenge her conviction. She has consistently claimed prosecutorial misconduct and continues to maintain aspects of her innocence despite the overwhelming evidence against her. In what may be her final public statement, Jodi's refusal to engage honestly about her crime spoke volumes.
What about the...
I'd like to answer that because I do have things to say about that, but they told me don't relitigate the case, so.
Will there be a time you feel comfortable doing that? Or
Sure.
If they come back with a death sentence, do you plan to appeal until you run out all of your appeals?
For the sake of my family, I do, yes.
Her life in prison reflects the same patterns that characterized her relationship with Travis: an inability to accept responsibility, continued manipulation of those around her, and a persistent belief that she can control her narrative despite the facts. She has found new audiences for her manipulation, corresponding with supporters and maintaining websites where she presents her version of events. The Jodi Arias case serves as a chilling reminder of how obsession can transform into deadly violence. Travis Alexander was a young man with his whole life ahead of him. Dreams of marriage, family, and continued success. All of that was stolen by someone who couldn't accept that their relationship was over. The case also highlights the warning signs of dangerous obsession that friends and family should watch for. Travis's friends noticed Jodi's possessive behavior, her stalking, and her manipulation tactics, but like many people, they underestimated how far she might go. For the Alexander family, the pain continues more than 15 years later. They lost a beloved son and brother to senseless violence, and they've had to endure years of media attention, legal proceedings, and Jodi's continued attempts to rewrite history. Their strength and dignity throughout this ordeal has been remarkable, but nothing can bring Travis back. The case has also had a lasting impact on how we understand domestic violence and stalking. Jodi's behavior fits classic patterns that experts now recognize as warning signs of escalating danger. Her case is studied in law enforcement training programs as an example of how obsession can lead to murder. Mental health experts who have studied the case identify several key factors that contributed to the tragic outcome. Jodi displayed signs of personality disorders that made her particularly dangerous when faced with rejection. Her ability to manipulate, lie convincingly, and present different faces to different people are classic traits of certain personality types. The relationship patterns were also telling. The intense initial connection, the quick escalation to possessiveness, the inability to accept boundaries, and the stalking behavior that intensified when Travis tried to end things. These are warning signs that everyone should recognize in their own relationships or those of people they care about. What makes Jodi particularly dangerous is her lack of genuine empathy. Even today, she shows no real remorse for Travis's death, instead focusing on her own situation and maintaining that she was the victim. This inability to truly understand the impact of her actions on others is a hallmark of certain personality disorders and makes rehabilitation extremely unlikely. While Jodi serves her life sentence, the fight for justice in Travis Alexander's case continues in different forms. His family has worked to preserve his memory and ensure that the focus remains on the victim rather than the perpetrator. They've spoken out about domestic violence and the warning signs of dangerous relationships. Law enforcement has used this case as a learning opportunity, studying the investigation techniques that helped solve the crime and the evidence that secured the conviction. The digital forensics in this case were particularly important, showing how modern technology can help bring killers to justice. The legal system continues to deal with Jodi's appeals and attempts to overturn her conviction. Each appeal is met with the same response. The evidence against her was overwhelming, the trial was fair, and justice was served. But the process continues, keeping the case in the public eye and forcing the Alexander family to relive their loss. The story of Jodi Arias and Travis Alexander is ultimately a cautionary tale about the deadly nature of obsession and the importance of recognizing warning signs before it's too late. Travis was a young man who tried to extricate himself from a toxic relationship, but he underestimated the danger he was in. Jodi's continued attempts to manipulate her narrative, even from prison, show that some people are simply incapable of accepting responsibility for their actions. Her case demonstrates the importance of holding perpetrators accountable and not allowing them to rewrite history to suit their needs. For those who follow true crime, the Jodi Arias case offers lessons about human psychology, the justice system, and the importance of believing evidence over charming manipulators. It shows how ordinary-looking people can be capable of extraordinary evil, and how crucial it is to trust our instincts when someone's behavior doesn't seem right. The memory of Travis Victor Alexander deserves to be preserved not as the victim of a sensational murder case, but as a young man with dreams, aspirations, and people who loved him. His life was cut short by someone who couldn't accept that love cannot be forced, relationships cannot be controlled, and rejection is not grounds for murder. As we close this dark chapter, remember that behind every true crime story is a real human being whose life mattered. Travis Alexander was more than a victim. He was a son, brother, friend, and mentor who deserved to live a full life. While Jodi Arias will spend her remaining years behind bars, Travis's memory lives on in the hearts of those who knew and loved him. Subscribe to Dark Trail Files for more deep dives into the criminal mind and the pursuit of justice. We don't just tell stories. We uncover the truth behind the darkness.